Hi everyone, welcome to another session. In this session, we are going to discuss another topic, SQL injection attack. That is also important topic for the CISSP exam. Very simple topic, nothing special here. Uh, what we need to understand that SQL injection attack, how it is executed by the attacker. With name, a SQL injection attack, it is very clear that it is database attack. So attacker tries to execute SQL query. The attacker tries to manipulate uh, uh, the SQL query. So here in this diagram, you can see this is our legitimate user. So here you can see this is our legitimate user. So this is our legitimate user above here. So and here is attacker. Okay. So in this image, you can clearly see when the legitimate user logs in, the application executes a proper SQL query, which is this one in the background. Select star from users where user ID and password, right? That that executes in the background when legitimate user tries to access the database. The database only returns a row. This database returns a row if the username and password match, right? Obviously, if this is a legitimate user and if he or she log in uh, log into that database server and adds user ID and password, then when that user ID and password match, then only returns a row, right? That particular row will be returned. But that happens in the background. But in the other hand, you can see how attacker inject SQL query in this user ID field, this user and password ID field. What he what attacker does, attacker tries to manipulate the SQL query. So here you can see, so these are the special characters, right, which attackers tries to manipulate them, right? I do not want to go into detail what does it mean, but I just tell you a couple of things. For instance, uh, these commas and empty space, it means that empty username, it means it is ignored, right? And here you can see 1 is equal to 1 always evaluates to true, so all users are returned. But that should not be our primary focus. The primary focus should be that these user ID and password field are manipulated by the attacker in this way. As you can see, this is an example, right? There could be multiple methods in order to execute the SQL query uh, by the attacker. So, so we need to understand if SQL injection attack occurs, then it is always um, it is always with the SQL query, right? So now the important part is how we can prevent those type of SQL injection attacks. So always use parameterized queries, prepared statement, right? Instead of inserting user input directly into SQL queries, use prepared statements, right? secure code, right? That is also important, prevents SQL injection attacks. Uh, so, and another important thing which we have also discussed in other videos, like XSS cross scripting attack. So input validation uh, and sanitization. So restrict special characters. Here you can see in this particular query that attacker is trying to use special characters. So enforce strict input rules. Only allow alphanumeric usernames, right? And another principle is least privilege principle, which we may come across multiple times. We will hear about least privilege principle multiple times in some other videos. So that is also very important to note that we always need to implement least privilege principle for the database user. Don't allow database user to have admin privileges for normal operations. Restrict user to only select, insert, and update where it is needed, right? Implement web application firewalls, WAFs. Now, WAF can also detect block SQL injection attempts before they reach the database. Hide SQL error message. That is another important point. If something wrongly executed, then those error messages should not be displayed. Do not display detailed error message to the users. This way, attacker can predict, right, how with the help of those SQL syntax error message, right. Instead, always show a generic message, invalid username or passwords, right. So this is the basic understanding of SQL injection attack, right? So when you will see SQL injection attack in question, then it is very clear that attacker uh, tries to access the database server. So that's it about this particular attack, SQL injection attack. I hope you have understood that. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any question, please write your question in the comment section.